Dare I say the ego gets a little bit more fulfilled to be like, oh my God, I slayed that and I landed that client because of my grit, not because of a reputation.
And I woke up and I was like, I was ready for 3 hard conversations a day.
We're never working for someone again.
This blessing that's a text message, just based off reputation, trust, and love.
I'm going to tell them to go F themselves.
I don't want the control. I just need to feel confident that it's being executed.
Like if I see a text where I'm like, ooh, this text, like it's over. You guys did join up with EXP.
My ex-husband's coming on with his wife.
Yeah.
This is like the all-star team that we've got here. Well, this was the one of the most energetic podcasts we had. All right, well, thanks for coming in. We got Shelly and Betsy, AKA Property Twins. Being twins and going by the Property Twins, are you guys always coupled together, or does everybody announce you guys or introduce you as the Property Twins?
I mean, I feel like our whole lives, yeah, we've always been coupled together. I mean, we've never had our own birthday cakes.
I mean, since the womb.
It's never been a thing.
Does that get annoying though? Like when people are like, oh, like, I mean, I doubt people do it outside of real estate, but I feel like anytime I'm talking about you guys to anybody, it's like, oh, the Property Twins.
Yeah.
As if like it's just one entity.
We're the girls. We're called the girls. We'll be like 50 and we're the girls, right?
Yeah. No, in business, I think it's helped us, right? Because we have a brand and we stand out. And there will be people that are like, oh my God, I met this person and they said they saw you in open house, the Property Twins. I feel like it's leaning into that has been very helpful in our business. You know what I mean? Because of how many agents are there in Arizona, and to have a brand, you need a shtick, you need something. And so not only does it work for business on the back end, like we're like one human that operates, but we have a brand and everyone knows who the Property Twins are.
So let's take it back. So how long have you guys actually been realtors?
So we actually got licensed the December before COVID hit. So 2019. And then that was quite a wild first year of trying to get our bearings. So it's been, I think we're in our 6th year now.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're hitting our stride now, if that makes any sense.
So you're COVID realtors is what we call
were
it?
COVID.
We were
Well, we get licensed and we're like, what the
Yeah.
What do we do now? Like, because literally COVID hit in March and then we're like, what are we doing? Like, how do we network? Like, we can't do open houses. So that first year was more of a game plan year, I'd say. And then,
But also it sprung us into, right, creating the Facebook group.
oh yeah.
So we created a Facebook group online during COVID because what is everyone doing? They're just sitting home. And it was for ladies from the East Coast who actually moved out here. So we have like 2,200 members now. But that became our sphere. That is consistently our sphere. I would say 70 to 80% of our business comes from that group. But it was COVID born out of, you know, it was based off of us trying to figure out how we can get our name out there and build your sphere, but also being authentic because those are our people. Like when you're from the East Coast, it's like, I don't know.
We're a little culty.
It's a little culty.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, but that's where that was born from. But it has driven us all the, like, you know, it has been our most successful.
Yeah,
So that was born out of you being forced to be in your house?
Yeah.
Cool.
for sure. And we had some Zooms, right?
Yeah.
Alcoholic Zooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Where are you guys from?
Jersey.
Okay, because I was going to say, anybody listening right now will be like, nope, they're not from Arizona. That's
You're
for
not.
sure.
Definitely
right?
not from here.
No.
So as I was saying this before, when you guys got here, I was telling my wife last night, you guys were coming in. I was like, the Property Twins coming in. And I was like, yeah, we're going to get flagged for some swear words. I think that,
Keeping
right?
it together. Yeah. We're going to try to.
I will not drop an F-bomb today
Okay, so you guys,
after this podcast.
you got licensed 6 years ago, or is that when you guys moved to Arizona, or were you licensed in Jersey?
No. I moved to Arizona. It was 10 years in January. She followed me a year and a half later. So my ex-husband's family was out here, so he brought me out. I saw at that time what real estate was in Arizona. Let's circa 2015, and I was like, holy smokes! See, I'm not gonna curse. Holy smokes!
That's not a promise.
Wow, you know, Jersey real estate's wild and taxes are insane. So I just wanted to change. I moved out. That was the first time her and I were ever apart in our lives for like more than a week.
Yeah.
At 31 years old. So she drug her husband.
Poor guy.
And it was a drag.
It was a drag.
Initially.
Yes.
A year and a half later, we built out here. And then obviously I got divorced. That didn't work out. We stayed.
But we come from a corporate background.
But we come from a
sales.
corporate sales background.
Our father owns a business. We did sales like in the tri-state area, so New York, New Jersey, outside sales. And so we're used to people. We dabbled in some corporate jobs out here, but then we realized that I realized like I cannot be told what to do. Like I cannot be tamed.
No, well, tell them really what happened.
I mean, we got fired.
So
So
I think
yes, we had.
But why did we get fired?
Because I question, like, started like, don't tell me to do something, and then when I ask you why I have to do that and you can't back that up, then I don't comply, and I didn't comply, and my boss was like, you know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really make sense what he was asking us to do, which is it's an outside sales job, and he wanted us inside from 8 to 5 every day. So I'm like, I don't understand. We've been in outside sales our whole lives. Like, if I'm producing, why are you telling me I have to be here?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. He just didn't like the pushback. He was also younger than us and a male, so I think he felt intimidated that we were,
Smarter.
I mean, dare I say, better sales than he was. I don't know.
I hope he's watching this, right?
Yeah, he might be watching. I don't give a smokes.
So what made you guys pick real estate though?
So after that, we got
Okay,
fired.
I can understand the no one's telling me what to do.
Yeah.
But then now no one's telling me what to do, and then you have options. What made real estate be the thing?
So we literally got fired, and then I was like, oh my goodness. We were on the
walking on the
treadmill. We're walking on the
treadmill.
treadmill the next day, and
Yes.
we looked at each other, and I'm like, we are never working for someone again. And I was like, we're going in real estate. We're going in. I was going to say that word again. Damn, it's very hard for me not to curse. But anyway, we both were there, and I'm like, we're entrepreneurial. We're smart. Our dad raised us like to be entrepreneurs. He always taught us from the ground up, like how to run a business before we even really knew what that meant. And I was like, we are never working for someone again.
Like,
and
ever.
And then I don't know where, I mean, how did real estate even come
I don't know.
up?
I think people always dabbled like, you guys should do real estate, and like I literally had no idea what that meant. Like I had the funniest thing is that I'm like, I have no idea how to do real estate, but I'm like, we're freaking doing it. And we signed up for the
Literally, it was just like
it was, yeah.
an on the whim conversation that I'm like, this could fit us. We like houses. We know how to sell. We'll be entrepreneurial, running our own businesses. We're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And then we signed up the next day.
Yeah.
So where's the business coming from now? I know you guys said you have the Facebook group. I actually want to talk about that, but is that where you're getting your business, or what's the primary source?
Yeah. That referrals now,
Yeah.
because we've been in long enough. It's nice to see, or like clients selling, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you put in you have to like literally give it. And I know there's like anomalies of people that like slay it the first or second year, but we always were like kind of a slow roll because we wanted to treat our business and create it how we wanted to, knowing that it might take more time. We have gone to the dark side, I would say, with paying for leads now, which has been a game changer. But we had a stigma on it for the first couple, right? For the first.
Yeah, which I'm like, that's ego, right? Like, why would we have a stigma? I don't need to buy leads to kill it.
Yeah.
That's what happened,
We're
right?
gonna
And
just
then you
do
finally
it
get
authentically, and then we did.
which I think is good, right? Because the reason why I say this is that we built a sphere that we may not have had otherwise.
Agree.
So building that sphere gives us that like community and that networking group and whatever, but we had no control over like what was coming in and why. And I think finally we sat down. It'll be a year in March, and we were like, because it was slow. I mean, it was a rough year, right?
Yeah.
Last year. And then I'm like, okay, we need a plan B. We need another avenue. And then we had to kind of chat through like where is our resistance coming from? And it all led back to ego.
Why,
You know, which
why
is,
is that? I hear that a lot from people. Actually, I can think of one person specifically
that says that.
who says it all the time, where it's like, oh no, like it's almost like a badge of honor. And I can understand it because I did it, I think, for like 14 years. That was kind of my thing. Like, oh, I'm just repeating referral. And I had a mentor who said, I mean, how much business can you really get with repeat and referral? And I was like, whoa. And he said it in such a way where I was like, okay, like 40, 50, you know, like
Yeah.
it was still a decent number. But then he was talking, I was like, oh no, like I'm doing like 300-400 units a year. And I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I should listen to you, you know, because the repeat and referral is cool, but he was doing it at such a higher level. So where do we get this from?
I mean, you had it too, though, right? Did you not have? Is that what stopped you? Ego?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was a little bit probably of that, like subconsciously, and just really just how do you get more work done? I guess I wasn't the greatest at leverage,
Yeah.
5 and 6 years ago. I didn't realize other people could, help you do the business.
For sure.
And so it was more like, hey, this is all I can actually physically keep up with and still keep a good name.
Yeah,
But then when I realized there's leverage out there that will help you, then I decided to like get leads.
for sure.
Yeah.
But where do you think that comes from?
The ego, like how it's. I think it's just
Like, why do we think that? That like makes
don't- I
no
don't-
sense from a business owner. Like, could you imagine
Well, that's
like
the
any
thing.
car dealership being like, we're just
Gonna do
like
it
we're
this
only
way.
referrals and repeat clients. It's like,
Yeah,
no, like-
honestly, I think ignorance. Honestly, I think it's just, hey, we can do this by networking. I think initially we came, I think the pushback initially with us is that we came from like a sales background. I think we kind of wanted to steer away from like that
Cold
vibe
flowing or feeling
and
like
feeling
I
like
have,
we were doing
like a
that.
lead list or that we have, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what it was.
I'm like, we're going to build this from the ground up organically. And we did, right?
Yeah.
But I think once that feeling wore off, we were like, okay, but we can double our sales.
Yeah.
You know, by picking the phone
And
up and
have
just talking
control
about our
every day about what we're
ourselves
doing.
and
Yeah.
why we can help them. You know what I mean? So then it shifted for
Yeah.
sure. And it's been game changing to us, to our business at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just look at it as like the repeat and referrals are just the biggest blessings. That's how I look at it. To me, it's two different avatars of business. It's one is such a huge blessing, and one is a grind. I consider it like that's my fair share. That's what I actually should get if I just keep a good reputation, nurture
totally.
these people. This is my unfair share. Like this is open. Like they could go to any realtor based on how I'm getting the lead.
For sure.
And so that's how I looked at it. I'm like, so yesterday, got a referral from somebody. Past client of 15 years referred me to his coworker. And then today he just messaged me again. Hey, I've got a family member coming from out of state, wants to buy a house. So those ones I'm like, there's like I still get goosebumps getting these referrals. And I've been doing this for 19 years. So I'm like, and the only reason I think I get the goosebumps now more than ever is because I buy leads.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have to buy like 136 leads and follow up with these people and deal with the conversations sometimes that I don't want to have to get somebody who buys a house. And then this is just this blessing that's a text message just based off reputation, trust, and love.
For sure.
And here, like the trust is just transferred. Like we're going to trust Chris Bowers because this person trusts him.
For sure.
And so now I look at it as like I'm still going to go grind every day to try to find other work because I like income and more.
Yeah.
But I keep looking at this other side. I'm like, man, I think that's the hardest thing for me is just realizing and being like looking at both those business models and saying like, hey, I do both. One's feels better than the other.
Yeah.
One's more profitable than the other, but still like, do I just want to not close another 30 or 40 units a year because I don't want to grind?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the battle too, right? Because one feels more authentic. Like you do feel like I love referrals. Like those are the best ones because you know that they trust you and you know you don't have to work for them because you already did work for them because you created, you know, a great you facilitated something with someone else that made them want to refer you. Like that feels great as opposed to like talking to someone on the other side of the phone that doesn't know you from Adam and then you have to keep grinding, I would say, to like get somewhere with it. But I think there's like a happy medium between the two.
But I also feel like
In
on the ego side, it's to get those clients. I mean, some of our leads like that we paid for, they've been our biggest sales so far. And to be like, I mean, one of them we poached from a different agent because the agent sucked. So dare I say the ego gets a little bit more fulfilled to be like, oh my God, I slayed that and I landed that client because of my grit, not because of a reputation, because it's a little softer. When you know that they're coming from a referral, you don't really have to work as hard. I feel like it kind of makes you feel like, damn, we really are good agents when we're just
landing things
like with people that don't know us from Adam, you know?
Yeah. And there's something about like, for example, for me, the internet leads, when I close a client, I mean, so many of my internet leads are the coolest people.
Yeah, same.
I mean, but it makes sense because I'm like, okay, I called probably 150 people to get you to work with me. And probably out of those 150 people, there's probably 3 other people that actually bought a house that used another realtor. So I'm like, I realize now where the connection comes from when we close. I'm like, those were my people.
Totally.
You know, like you guys, if someone hit you up and was from like Jersey on an internet lead versus like me, you're probably going to relate to them so much more. Therefore, like when we say, oh, these internet leads end up being some of our like friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, because that's out a batch of people. That's who you're connecting with.
You're resonating with them.
Yeah, because I'm like, they probably got calls from 3 other realtors because they were on their websites. And I always say that, you know, the houses are the houses. We almost all have the same houses.
Yeah.
So I'm like, really what I think that we've got to figure out how to differentiate ourselves with these internet leads is like the connection. Like, why are you doing this? Why I feel like I'm the best person to facilitate this, even outside of the transaction. Just like, hey, I can feel what you're feeling. Like, I feel what you're feeling. Like, oh, I live in that neighborhood.
For sure.
And they're like, okay, cool. Like, I trust you because the houses are the houses. So I don't know. That's why I feel like I have fun whenever I do find that client. I'm like, man, why are all these clients that I close internet leads like the best people?
Yeah.
I think
they're
it's
resonating
like they're
with
just your
you.
tribe. Like
Yeah.
they kick it with you.
And I feel like that is all of ours so far too.
Agree. And the ones that don't choose to work with us.
Yeah, so it's
Kind of
fine.
like you are attracting like even with the strangers.
What's the network game look like for you guys? Like, do you guys have it? You guys, so many people sit down right here and we do this podcast, right? And I'll be like, hey, what systems do you have to keep up with your, past clients or your network? They're like, oh, I don't really have too many systems. And then they go on for like 7 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So as much as you might not say you have systems, you do. So like, what does that look like in your guys' business? Like, are you guys structured with your network? Is it willy-nilly where it's just reach out to people when you think of them? Or do you guys have like a system in place where it's like, this is how I'm going to proactively stay in front of them?
I mean, I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Like we definitely have, like we send out emails, like we have our database. We try to capture every time we do events for our group, like we try to capture all their information so that we can reach out. We try to not be like overly
Pushy.
pushy.
Are you talking about clients or prospects?
Just like clients, like let's say past clients. Let's start with past clients. Like somebody closes a transaction with you. Do you guys have a cadence that you follow afterwards? It's more structured.
We've gotten better.
Yes, we've gotten better.
So Betsy handles all the back end of our business, and I handle the front end.
Yeah.
So we have a weird flow. It's not weird. It just works.
Yeah.
We're like one person.
Agree.
So you've gotten better at streamlining. I mean, our
Well, we
touch
do like a
points-
couple touch points, like a month out, 6 months out, a year out. Shelly sends emails every Monday, like Motivation Monday to all our clients.
And it's not even real estate related. And I feel like it renesates with so many people. I
Yeah.
would recommend anyone doing that doesn't do that already. It could be a quote. It could be a book. It could be a YouTube 5-minute meditation.
Well, we're very spiritual, so I think it resonates around that, like positive quote, like not cheesy stuff, but like how to start your week positive or how to set an intention for the day or, how to look at the bright side of things. I would say it's more of that kind of stuff, but we have a ton of people that reply to it every week, you know? So we do that. And then we need to get better with, I feel like we do more events based around like our East Coast group. And we were just saying this instead of like past client events, but I feel like,
But we do touch our clients 4 times a year with something in the mail,
Yeah.
quarterly, whether it be, I don't know, we mix it up every time.
Yeah.
And then, which we took from you.
the repeat referral class.
Okay.
Yeah, we took from you also is just, so during the holidays or, I don't know if people are Jewish or Christmas, I don't know, but still just happy holidays, like a personal text to everyone. Like I took the time to text every single client.
Yeah.
Probably 2 times during the holiday season last year, just because. So I know as our client list grows, because it's getting up there as it is, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We'll have to find better ways to do that. But I still feel like there's something to be said about a personal touch versus just like a Monday email. And you and I, you've talked about that, but having lunches and with even our network, not clients, but like yesterday we had a luncheon at Buono's, which is local. They're from New York. We try to keep our things to our East Coast people and support local. But 15, 18 women came out for that, low key, but the conversation just is had where one of the ladies that shows up is like, oh, by the way, I gave you guys information to, a friend of mine that's looking to buy, or she hadn't expired or something. Yeah. So it naturally keeping ourselves in front of our sphere is super important as well.
What do you do with that person who said, I gave your name to somebody after, when you say thank you, let's say a day or 2 goes by and you're sitting there and you're itching, you're like, man, this person's not hitting me up.
Like
do you have a process? I call it a semi-referral in our office. Do you have anything you do?
We definitely follow up. So I'll be like, hey, not sure that you gave them the right contact information. Didn't hear from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
like ding, ding, ding.
But then we leave it.
But then I leave it alone. Yeah. I feel like we're not those humans. We're grateful that they even thought of us. And that's what I always say is like, oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of us.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm not going to, because we don't make it, that whole group isn't about real estate, right? Like it is, but it's not. It's really not. It's about connecting with like-minded East Coasters. And then if the real estate comes up and we've never made real estate a thing, granted, we had a holiday party in December, 50 women showed up. We had little goodie bags with our business card in it, scratchies, candy. Give it to them right up front. Don't bring it up again. Like I don't lead with that foot. I hate that. Just more like build those authentic relationships and then the business will come.
Yeah.
And that is, don't you think?
Yeah, I think we pivoted a little bit where we put a little bit more out there, because I think last year we kind of made sure we were posting more about the real estate though, and making sure it was front of mind for people so that they knew what we were. Like they know we're the twins, but they also knew we were the twins who were the realtors, as opposed to just like, oh, you guys run the page, and then not realizing we were realtors, because we hadn't pushed at all because we were trying to just keep it genuine. But then I think we were realizing there was missed opportunities because like people didn't realize it. So like on the banner of the page now, it says it's sponsored by us. It has our photo. It has that. We're doing that every Friday. It's called Flaunt It Friday. You're allowed to post your business. We don't let like people spam, but we post in there. And then we, of course, we take the liberty to post more about real estate more than just on Fridays because we run the page. But I think we realized that there was some missed opportunities because we weren't making it a thing. And so we've kind of tried to like, we've upped our game a little bit on doing that.
For sure.
Just so that we're not missing those. You know what I'm saying? Because we have new people joining all the time. Shelly actually goes in and friends them all, sends them a message just saying, hey, we run the page. Thanks for joining our page. We are
We're your trusted real estate agents if you need anything.
If you need anything. Because a lot of these women are moving. They're moving or they just moved out here and they're renting and they need something. And like, I'm telling you, like, people want to work with like.
How do they find the page?
And
do people find it pre-moving here, or are they joining after they've moved here?
Both. It's bizarre. I don't know. Women in general, like there's a group for everything. Like I'm in groups for like the year and month my son was born, just to like be with women who have kids the same age. Like it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Or like groups for hiking. Like I think people, it's because we are culty. Like the East Coast want to be with East Coast. Like they move out here and they immediately feel a sense of like not fitting in. And so that is probably why there's groups, because we all need to be with each other. And so they will, even when they're back east, like do a search and be like, I need to find my people. And so,
and a lot of them are like, oh, I'm moving here soon from New York or like Connecticut or.
So if someone Googles that, your like Facebook group would come up?
Yeah, or just in groups on Facebook. Like,
yeah,
East Coast, because there's a New Yorkers living in the desert page, which is another woman we know runs that, but that's men and women. But most of the people cross over and do, like, we're all in the same two groups because we're all like
East Coasters.
Yeah, and we all, I would say 90% of our friends out here are from the group. Like we only hang out with it. It's weird. It's not culty, but it's like we have
a couple native friends. Most of our
not
here.
many.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of acquaintances, but I'd say our closest, like ride or die out here are from New York and New Jersey.
So now it's like a delicate road to walk where it's like, hey, I've got this group, it's an asset. We have some intentions with it that we all are realtors. It's a dance, isn't it?
It's definitely a dance.
Where you have like an asset and you want to let them know, hey, I do this for a living.
Yeah,
but then also you don't want to do it
like,
too much. Otherwise, you're just a big commercial.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Yeah. So I think we found a sweet spot now. Before we weren't doing it at all because I'm like, I don't want people thinking that we're just like here to get their business because we really, all of our friends are from the group.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely, even though like yesterday we had a luncheon, or we're doing it with
twofold
intent because we're like, we need to bring people together and get in front of people. But also, if you just not look at it like some obligation yesterday, like it's the best times that I have with these women.
Do you guys, because I can sense that like when we go onto Facebook, we just want that to be about the community, right? Meaning we just want to be friends with these people because we have something in common. Have you guys ever thought about figuring out how to get information so your marketing is like offline? Yeah. Meaning like an email home value report or a postcard in the mail. So it's like, hey, when they're like we're still going to try to sell them, but like get it off of the format where they're having fun.
Yeah.
And get it into the format where when you're checking your emails, you know you got to deal with that. And when we're checking our mailbox, we know we got to deal with that. Have you guys tried to get information from them when they join where you can go down that road or no?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
they have to answer questions. So
it's
it's our ongoing. Yes,
yeah, that's what I do in these
question.
podcasts. I bring up the stuff that you guys behind the scenes are like,
because we're like,
we're like,
or like, how do
yeah.
We...
So it's like, is it intrusive to ask them when because we asked them when they're signing up, like, where are you from? We do say like, have you gone and followed our Property Twins business page on Facebook? But like, dare we ask for their email? Like, could we? But then I also feel like, I don't know. It's like a weird thing.
It is.
So
I
what
know
we
so many other people would be like that pushy. Like I've been denied being in a group because we're a realtor and the other realtor runs it. We're not like that. Like
no, we let realtors in. You're not allowed to post if you're a realtor though.
Yeah, like
so I think there's an understood spoken thing that.
But we did capture when we have events.
So when we have events, we try like say we host a movie night, right? Like sign up on Eventbrite, we get all their info, and then we do have like a separate in our flow desk, which is like where we send all our emails out. We have like East Coast as like a segment of women, so we do try to capture as much as we can their email. I go in, add them to HomeBot, do all those things. Are we doing it up front when they're joining the group? No. Could we discuss that further? Yeah, but we have to also
there's a way to
do what feels authentic to us, and I feel like
I agree. That's where I'm like, you gotta I feel personally, my decisions are like, do I genuinely want to be in this group if I didn't make money? And there's a lot of things in life where it's like, I would go do this regardless if I was
Of the
making-
money.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like
so
I just
that's
had
why-
somebody last week who like he gets a lot of business from his CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
You know, and you just look at that. I'm like, this guy's genuinely going to be doing this no matter what. Therefore, like it's authentic to him because like he's gonna be there regardless if you send him business or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's all of a sudden by the door like, hey, I need your email address.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
no, dude, we're good. You know,
Yeah,
like can we
well-
just lift and be boys? And then like
And
if
then
I want to do
exactly.
business, we'll do business. So I think
Totally.
there's it's a dance.
It's a dance. And people like us when they get to talk to us. They realize like the genuineness in us, like as much as we do this and we're in dog rescue and we're in all these things. So like people come to us for like all of these things because they know who we are. And to me, that's more important. And then eventually if that translates into real estate, that would be great. But if not, we've made a ton of awesome friends.
Yeah.
How do you guys have clear job descriptions where, because you said
I do the back end.
front end, so that means like if somebody called you to go look at houses today, like they actually called you to do business, you would get it over, like it would be switched over to go show
it's like
homes.
immediate group chat.
Okay,
And
it's
then
like
I kinda
that.
handle the front
Immediate
end. Yeah.
like group text message with all the parties. And then I'm just back end. And then I would say I know people are like, that's crazy, you do things together. But we do. Like I feel like we form these relationships and then we will, if we can, we will go show homes together. Like me
The
and
first
her.
time, yeah.
Yes, for the first time we'll go and be together. Like we don't really like it's not like Betsy's off, like I'm off doing this and granted, if we can't both be at the same place for different things, but a lot of the times we're working simultaneously together. Like
So if
as a
somebody
team.
called or texted you and if somebody called you and didn't know Shelly, like would you?
I feel like that never happens.
Never happens. Like
Never.
literally, that's how connected you guys are.
Yes.
100%.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're
Twin
like
life,
one.
huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Wow. Okay, because I just think of like Brittany and I.
yeah.
Okay, because we obviously have different, like people would call us and not know the other person.
Yeah.
And so we do that. And I think people have a hard time with how that works. We have like different roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard for like, I just think a lot of like husband and wife that do real estate together,
Yeah.
where one person has like a certain personality, the other person has another personality.
Mm-hmm.
And then for them to like switch it to the other person, like they got the business and they're really
They
handing
feel
it
weird
off.
about it.
Yeah, like I know so many people listening right now have no idea how to pass something off to somebody, especially someone like your sister who you super trust.
Yeah.
Do you not feel any?
No. Literally, our
I think
clients will go to close and they'll be like, "We still can't tell who's who." They don't get. They literally
they
like
don't care.
They forget who they're talking to.
Yeah.
That
We
was
operate the
my.
same.
That
Yeah.
actually, that was my biggest worry of you guys coming in today.
That you wouldn't know.
Because we've talked on the phone a
wouldn't
lot.
be offended.
We've
It's our life.
we've texted so many times, right? We've talked on the phone a few times.
Yeah.
We've met each other at the class I taught, so we
Yeah.
met each other once. So when I was driving here, I was like, you know how you always got to worry about something? It was that. I'm like, they're gonna come in. I'm not gonna know who's who.
who, yeah.
And you know what's funny? I can
Not
just
offensive.
sitting here for 30 minutes with you guys, I clearly now know.
Tell the difference.
Isn't it interesting how until the conversation started, I was like, I'm not gonna know who's who.
Yeah.
And now it's so clear.
very
I
so
think now if I
different.
saw you guys at a store, I'd be like, oh, I totally like that's
You
two
would-
different people.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we're very.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you for that because we
Yeah.
still have friends sometimes that are like,
No.
and I'm like, oh my god, we are.
I
so
already
different.
got-
Yeah, we're so different.
We're so different.
so different. Like the opposites. That's why we're like the perfect.
We say we're like the yin yang. Like one, we'd make one.
So you were
perfect
saying Shelly's louder?
physical specimen.
she's louder. She is. She's just more of a. I'm the behind the scenes, but that suits my personality because I'm the more analytical.
Oh my god,
Like-
she loves that space. I get
She
anxiety.
can't even do like a Canva.
2 spreadsheets. I'm like, woo, my head's spinning off, and I'm like,
How
like,
does
yeah.
that? I mean, like obviously,
Oh
I mean, but that's really you guys have clearly different brains as far as
Oh.
like
Oh yes.
how you guys
entirely.
process the world.
Childhood.
Okay.
Yeah. Very just
super
very-
super smart. Not that I'm not smart, but like she was like third in our class in high school. Like Betsy is like brainiac, like next level. I was like, I knew where the parties were.
Yes.
You know, like I knew how to invite everyone. Like
the social.
I'm the
She's like
social,
the
but
front end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you all leverage that into our business, and that's why we balance each other well, right? So like anything front facing, like social media, whatever, I handle all that.
So when
Or, like,
client comes in, group like if a client came in group text and you would just take over right there and be like, hey, let's get on the phone and talk.
So yes, and then like when it comes to like having conversations about pricing or like having to be stern or like having to like deliver any type of news that's substantial,
Or, like-
Ellie bows out and is like, Betsy, it's your turn, because like I
But if
just have-
clients need that like extra like warm, you know,
That's Shelly.
that virtual hug that via text, that is me. Betsy's like, can you get in there because I'm gonna tell them to go F themselves and like
Yeah.
you need to like bridge this gap. So like we fill these roles in different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Is it to the point where you guys know when someone texts in the group text, you guys know who's going to respond?
So
Yeah.
yeah, actually, once in a
just
while,
happened.
it just happened where I'll just sit back and I'm on my computer and I see they come through, and I was just like, I just put it aside because I'm like, Bets is gonna answer that one.
Yeah.
And, like we just know.
Yeah.
You know, a couple times she'll be like, "Are you getting that?" I'm like, "No, that's all you." You know. So depending on what's being asked, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we have a group text. So when somebody goes, so it's usually like me converting, right? And then the second they go pending, it goes to Britt. So then
Yeah.
I add her and then Christy in the office. And then it is interesting though how like as we get text, we just know
Who's gonna do what?
it's like clockwork. We know like Christy knows when she's gonna text. Like if it's paperwork driven, it's gonna be Christy. If it's kind of still someone needing like a brain on the negotiation to keep it going, it's Brittany.
Yeah.
And then like if it's falling apart, like if I see a text where I'm like, ooh, this text, like it's over, I'm like usually on the phone. I'm like, hey guys, like rallying the troops, like getting them back to motivated, selling the vision again.
Yeah.
And so, but it's fun to know like when you got 3 people, when you're that connected,
Yeah, that's amazing.
like everyone knows like exactly who's supposed to step in. Cause I look at it as, I think so many businesses are, this is your role, this is your role, and this is your role. And I think like I just think of like checklist. So I think of like Christy in my office, if there was a checklist to do, and Brittany, there's a checklist, and me, there's a checklist. On each of those checklists, I feel like there's 30 things, and there's different personalities on each task.
Yeah.
So we've kind of blended everything where it's like, hey, it's not you do that role, you do that. It's literally, we're all on these checklists, and we're getting them from like when they come in to the finish line.
Yeah.
We're all on this, and we just have different personalities. So like if someone says, like Brittany would wake up in the morning and like probably stress about having a hard conversation.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was like, I was ready for 3 hard conversations a day.
Today,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like
just
I'm
do it.
amped to get up and have 4 hard conversations. Like it's what I was looking for. Like
Yeah.
send me one. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like she would like kind of worry about it. But like if we had to do something different, I would just be waking up and I'd be worried about that task. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they want to talk about this today. Like I don't want to talk about this today. And she's like, oh my gosh, I got you.
Yeah.
So we looked at it anymore like, hey, we've got like 3 people trying to get you from lead to close and have a good experience.
Yeah.
And so if that person's supposed to have a good experience, well, now I look at it anymore having people that help, right? Brittany,
Yeah.
Christy, Maiko. I'm like, well, I want them to have a good experience as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to look more after like my people,
Yeah, your
and be
people.
like, hey, like we all have different personalities now. So like if that's hard for you but easy for me, and that one's
yeah,
hard for
we'll
me and
step
easy
up.
for you, like let's just like all stay in flow state in the day.
Yeah.
And don't act like that's all now your process from moving forward.
Agree.
So
Well, I think you have to adapt. But that's another thing. I think it would be difficult. Eventually, we're going to need probably someone to come into our dynamic because.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know who would ever be able to. It would have to be. I have no idea.
We're gonna have to learn to delegate one day.
I know, but I mean, even to fit in with how we operate.
Yeah.
Probably
Well-
have to be someone from the East Coast that lives out here, and I'll be like,
So we could be like,
yeah,
and then they're not like
'cause we all
crying.
speak each other's language.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it would. I worry about that.
We tried it. Yeah. Yeah.
are you guys just like intense always, or
I wouldn't say.
Meaning
I
when
feel
you
like
said-
to the outside world, it comes off intense. To us, it doesn't feel
It's
intense. So
normal.
I guess it's perception, is
We're
reality.
loud.
We're just naturally loud, like we're do everything yesterday kind of people. Like we don't. I feel like people here are more laid back. I'm not mad, but in business, we are like, get it done. Like
Yeah.
we need. There's no room for.
There's a reason why I'm the TC.
Well, she still is right now, which is obviously not going to make
Because
sense at
I
some point.
tried multiple, and I'm like, this isn't working. Because I can't. I'll work on it. I
do you
it's
think
a-
do you think it's a them problem or a you problem?
both?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. At least
Both.
you
but
said
that's
it.
like me in life. Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. No. Yeah.
It's
She'll
a
just get-
personality trait in life that I have, I believe, that I need to work on in general. But when it comes to our business, I just take it. I get it. People don't. It might not be that big of a deal, but to me, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like timelines are a big deal. Like follow up is a big deal. Like how quickly you reply is a big deal. Like I mean, I get people. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know. We just
And we will get there. We will have a sit down talk when it's time for you to let go of your baby,
I know.
and it will be okay.
Have you ever read the book Buy Back Your Time?
No.
Read it one day. Just
Okay.
get the audio and just like listen to it at the gym. I think it's good to like just soft sell yourself. Like when I know I need to go like a certain direction, but I'm kind of
Like
yeah, like I know I need to, but like I don't know how I'm going to. I just soft sell myself with a book. Perfect book for how to
delegate.
yeah, delegate, but delegate it in a way that like I don't think the like corporate America delegates stuff. I think it's more of a way we delegate things when we're like self-employed.
Yeah.
It teaches you a very digestible way where you're like, oh, like You know what I mean? Like we're self-employed. Like I can't have an accounting department and a marketing department. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I just went out of business by saying all that by what their salaries are.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you, as a salesperson or like the entity that like wants to keep control, like how do you lose a little bit of that control without hiring departments? Like how do you just bring someone into your life to make this a little bit easier?
Yeah.
So that you can focus on that dollar productive activity that makes more.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like inch along with it until it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, that task I am doing is a
Well, I talked to
$9
Brittany.
task.
Yeah, because she's like me. We're like the same.
Yes.
Like we're, oh my God, if she sends me her spreadsheets, it's like the best day ever. I'm like, share your spreadsheets. Like, oh my God, I love her. That's why I tell her all the time, I'm like, thank you so much. Like it just brings me so much joy. But she said it took her a long time to like let go. And I feel like it's not because like it's just because I just want it done a certain way, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I don't want the control. I just need to feel confident that it's being executed how I would want it executed. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's not, I would love to like pass it on, but I'm just not there yet. And it's fine because there are two of us and that's the beauty, like you guys know, but I know you have more people that you've brought on. That's our goal eventually. But right now it's working. But eventually, yes, when you start leveling up and you don't want to be doing everything, it's naturally part of growth. So we're good with that. Like,
the author of Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell, he says, I think it's 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome. And that's how I flowed with it. Because like there are still things to this day where you're like, oh, I could do that better.
Yeah. Well, I like that though.
I say that about a lot of things. I'm like, oh man, I could. But then I'm like,
but like,
I don't know.
You want to be doing it?
It's done. It's done. Like,
But
what
it
if
got
I
done, so-
what if I put like it in a different cell on the spreadsheet, or what if I highlighted it yellow and not pink?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I'm like,
Or
you know,
like
all these
all
things.
these things, yeah.
All these things that I'm like, whatever, it's done. Like as long as we got to the end result, and my end result anymore is 5-star review. That's kind of how I look at things anymore. And I'm like, hey, I'm talking to myself. Like, how egotistical would I think that I'm the only realtor that could give this person a 5-star service? You know what I mean? Like, you guys would give a client 5-star service. I would.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you guys do it probably a different way than I do it. And so it's like there's a lot of good realtors out there that could deliver really, really good service, and we do it different ways. So it made me really open to the idea that I always thought that I had like this cool like secret sauce to like my business, and like doing it this way is why it got built. And I'm like, actually now I'm just open to, I think I just got a cool network that hooks me up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of realtors they could give the business to, but they're like, hey dude, that's my dude. Like I support him. I like what he's doing. I like his causes he's involved in, and I just want to give it to him because I support him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, don't you think that's what it really comes down to? You think it's the process or the way you highlight this or do this, but it's you. It's you.
It
A lot of
is.
it is.
In the repeat and referral game, it is. I have to say, like, if you're scaling like a team or a business, maybe not, but that's another story. I mean, you can make a ton of money off just like repeat and referrals. But yeah, it's like, you know, is like how I did my spreadsheet behind the scenes the reason, or I did it this. Oh, I sent out that templated email the day the
and they were like,
you know,
I gotta go back. They're like, that's it, Chris.
The post appraisal email has to go out 12 hours after the appraisal, and the other person's like, well, I sent it out 48 hours. I'm like, it has to go out 12 hours after, because that's the whole reason that this whole building's standing, is because it goes out, you know?
Yeah.
And I just got off my high horse like a few years ago, and I'm like, no, I think like it's just, I think what happens is I'm like, I just care.
Yeah.
Like you guys care about your clients,
we
I care about my clients, and we're trying to put systems in place where we can go help more people and still let them know that we care a lot. Really, it's at the end of the day, I'm like, I care about your transaction. I cry for you when you cry for you. I'm happy when you're happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's always like this, when
Little
this
thing.
went out,
Yeah.
or like, is it on that whiteboard or that whiteboard, that spreadsheet or that spreadsheet? Like, did we text them that? Ooh, your word was wrong in that text. Like, I don't know. I mean, it was probably 6 years ago. I was like, man, my horse is very high that I'm on. Like, I need to get off
maybe I
this
need to-
thing
not that big
and
of a
just
deal.
chill. Be like, hey, thanks world for hooking me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It resonates though. What you're saying.
cool.
Like resonates with
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
You guys did join up with EXP. How long ago was that now?
It was in August.
Yeah.
It was in August?
Yeah.
How'd you say August?
I don't
August.
August.
That was the best way
Coffee.
you could say August.
Water.
I was like,
Water.
so she joined EXP in August?
August.
It's weird to hear you say it that way.
August?
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, well, that's how it sounded, no?
Oh, it's normal to me.
That's all.
So you guys joined in August. I know what was interesting is Angela introduced us during that time, because you guys are friends, Angela Gordon, and we were going through this like discovery stage of EXP, and obviously you guys were trying to leave your current brokerage or looking at options, I should say. Like, what made you guys make the choice you made?
I mean, the irony is we were like resistant at first, and I was like, I'm not going.
Same thing with leads. Like,
I was like, I'm not going to EXP.
Yeah.
And if you ask me why, I don't.
We didn't know.
I don't know why. We just had, both of us were that way, right?
Yeah.
We were driving once, and I remember Angela being like, I know you're looking around, just at least talk to my people at EXP. And I was just remember telling Bets, like, no, I don't really want to. Like, no, I don't think we should.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Once again, things that where you're just like, I don't know why. There was no real reason. So I think that's what it was. And then we had a conversation with you guys. I think we were looking for authenticity. We were looking for, I mean, obviously the splits and the money matters, right? But at the end of the day, if you have faith in yourself, like if it's an extra couple grand or whatever, like it's not deal breaking.
What's driven us thus far to choosing where we've been have been the people.
Yeah.
Like over everything, I feel like, even with the split, right?
Yeah.
We've been at, this was our third brokerage, right?
Yeah.
But the other reasons why we were at the other two was because of the people. Like we liked who had introduced us to it, and then we're like, okay, like that was really what drove it. Because I think we want to feel like, I don't know, you're working individually. It's such a weird, I don't know, real estate is weird because you like have your own brand and you're doing your own thing, but like there is camaraderie. Like I think that's the biggest thing that I love about being on this team and like with you guys is like the ability to be able to ask questions, learn things, like take away things. You're always like learning and growing and developing, and like you can't do that by yourself, right? So like we've tried different brokerages, like the ones that have all the classes, and then we're gonna go do that to try to learn, and then like it didn't resonate, and then
I just think we thought the people were going to resonate there, and they ended up not resonating.
No, yeah.
So like we went initially thinking like, okay, they're selling how much we want to sell, so we're thinking we're putting ourselves around those kind of people, but then when we're talking to them, we're not the same in how we run our businesses. I think what sold us on you guys is like you're super down to earth, and you also scale like your hashtag goals to us, right? So like when we get to your level, we want to be able to delegate and like be with Theo, her son, at his soccer games or whatever the hell he's doing with his life at that point, like on a Saturday or Sunday, and still be slaying the real estate game, right? Yeah. So I think the way you guys scale and how down to earth you are, and the amount of like you run your businesses the way you do, and you're also like goals to us. So and we like you guys, so like it goes back to authenticity. So the people, you guys sold us for sure on EXP.
Just in those conversations, because I know we had probably like 4 or 5 conversations before you made the switch. So now I guess I could say you guys kind of know because you're just in the community, and we talk often, and Britt probably talks to you guys more. Yeah. But like at that stage when you were still trying to like cross that bridge from other brokerage to EXP, what like solidified it there? I mean, I can see we had some conversations, but like was it just figuring it out there that these people might be helpful?
I mean, I think we go off of vibes.
Yeah.
So, like, I can tell, like, I think we're both, I don't know, I call us intuitive. Like, I don't know, when you jive with people and you don't, it didn't have to, like, be that we had these, like, in-depth conversations necessarily. But, like, I think we can tell what type of people we were going to be around, even if I didn't know your personal life or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That was number one. Number two, I think the way that you guys run your businesses is what we're looking to do, how you guys scale things, like.
And that was discussed prior. I think it was like, hey, this is how we do this. Like, this is, yeah. So I think I'm like, okay, well, don't you want to be around the people that you and ultimately want to, be like, yeah.
To have your business.
So did you have to convert, Betsy?
To what?
Like, meaning, was there one of you that was more, like, was there any, was one of you in and one out, or no?
The irony is so funny. After conversations, like, any of the calls we had, obviously we're just taking all the info in at the same time, right? And then when we sit down, we're like, okay, are we going to align on this? Like, this is weird. We always do.
Yeah.
We both kind of looked at each other, and I was like, what do you think? Because we went into it, let me tell you, like, literally, like, yeah, I'm doing this for Angela. I'm not moving to EXP. Like, I told her I would. She's my girl. And then we sat down after and was like, I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, me too. So I don't think we've ever not aligned on major decisions in our business.
Never.
Knock on wood.
Were you guys talking to other brokerages?
Yeah. We spoke to one other.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we didn't vibe. It really just comes down to vibes for us a lot more than
like there's no rhyme. It sounds not as like fun. Yeah, it's more like we just vibed.
So now it's been like 7 or 8 months. So what's like the coolest part now of being at EXP now that you have been a part of the community?
I think it's the team. I think it's you guys. I think the coolest part is, well, the ability to make extra money.
Yeah.
Also, which we haven't fully leveraged yet. It's on our 2025 to-do list, but just being able to know that we can share how much we love it and then utilize that as another passive stream of income, I'm not mad at. But I think most importantly, having people that we can turn to, that we trust, that we respect, that run their businesses the way we want to. So we know when we're coming to them, or you, should I say, but like, that we're going to be led in the right way, and that we, and I don't think we really had that before.
No, and I like the cloud-based. That was the biggest thing for us too, because I can't physically like always tap it. Like, you can't be driving like all the time to go to a meeting. Like, I get we do have there are in-person options, but a lot of it is the virtual, which was important to us, and that was something we were looking for because my life changed. Like with the logistics, I have a son now and all of these things, so I still wanted to be able to tap in and like access the resources that were available to me, but it wasn't feasible for us to be driving to Phoenix every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't going to work. So that was one of the major things that we were looking for when deciding where we were going to go. But I love that I can tap in every Tuesday morning, or like every week we get the schedule of different things we want to tap into and the options to be able to learn and kind of leverage that, which is super cool,
Yeah, the rev share stuff's pretty cool. I actually never joined EXP for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
we didn't either.
No.
Like, we're not, but that wasn't our first intent. Some people do.
It wasn't
They have
mine
teams
either.
already or whatever set up. I could see how that's beneficial. That was not our, but
Yeah, but now you're
I'm
killing
not
the
mad-
rev share game.
Well, I just
Yeah, but
needed,
that's-
I legitimately just needed help. Like, I was listening to a podcast. I know I probably told you guys a story, but I was listening to a podcast where Dave Jasinski was on the podcast with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Kevin's podcast. Like, Dave was a guest. I was at Mountainside Fitness working out. That year, I think I closed like 135 homes.
That's insane.
And Dave was talking about how he'd sold like 150, has 5 kids, under the age of 14. His goal is to get him to heaven, have a good relationship with his wife, and he never leaves his office. And I was like, wait, is this podcast talk?
Yeah, like what is
So
this
at the end, he left his number. I'm just that guy working out, and I was like, I'm going to text him. I didn't know he was in Gilbert, so I text him. He calls me. Hey, come to my office. I'll help you. Walk into his office. He's like, hey, do you have a lead generation problem or a leverage problem? I was like, probably a leverage problem with doing 135 units. I need some like help. And he just sat there and he's like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, well, tell me your structure. And I'm like, I have 14 agents. And he's like, well, what do you pay him? I'm like, a 50-50 split. And he's like, why do you pay him 50-50 split? Who's bringing in the business? I'm like, well, I am. And he's like, wait, like I have 2 showing partners on salary. And I'm like, what do you mean on salary? He's like, I pay a salary to 2 realtors. Like I have a salary with them, and they just get paid like 10% their title.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, so you've got one person. So I was looking at my P&L, and I'm like, how much money was going to the other side on me getting the business. But like, so he's like, well, why do you need someone to show houses? Well, I can't take vacations and show this many homes, appraisals, inspections. Oh my. And he's like, all right, we'll just bring someone on salary. Like I left there. He told me exactly what to do. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I just literally, he's like, go get a Wise Hire account. I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's a job board. I was like, okay. He's like, post this job ad. So I just took his PDF, changed his Dave Jasinski team to the Bowers team,
Yeah.
uploaded it, started getting applicants, had no idea what I was hiring for.
You need to do that.
And literally like for 2.5 years I hired 2 out the gate. And so like
So did you get rid of your team? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Like I literally,
Did you have a team because you thought that was like was that ego? a
To
little bit?
leverage.
well, no, mine was, so I only had the team because like I had a Zillow Flex account.
Okay.
And so they were giving me so much business. Like I was going to die closing it. So like I was just,
Bringing people on.
yeah, I wasn't the person who was like, go get a team, find the business. Like I had the business, and we were trying to bring people in fast enough not to lose that account because they were throwing leads at us.
Yeah.
And like if you didn't close at a certain conversion, they would fire you.
Yeah.
So like I started doing it during COVID, and then I had to like bring someone else on so I didn't die. And then as a leader now, I'm like, well, if I die and he dies, well then we have no team. So I'm like, I had to like still try to close deals while finding another person.
Yeah.
And then they're now in there, and we're all dying. So I was always just trying to find one more person so that my crew didn't fall apart because
Yeah.
they were so busy. And so I was just building it that way and then giving them like on splits like that. But Dave, the point of it is he just started asking me questions. And I'm like, I just guess where I'm at. We don't ask those questions. We just do you just do it how it's always been done.
Yeah.
And so going from there, like I just started totally restructuring my business. And then now when people are like, well, you don't have a team anymore. I'm like, I don't think you understand with RevShare at EXP like what I have.
Yeah.
And they're like, I know, but wouldn't you want a team? I was like, a team of people that like call me and ask for leads?
I know it's
Yeah,
like babysitting.
No, I'm like, they're like, well, what do you have? And I'm like, I literally have like Trevor Halpern working like in our crew and Angela Gore. And I'm like the property twins and Ari and Taylor. I'm like talking people making tons of money. Like this is like the all-star team that we've got here.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting how like now looking
at
at
it.
like I used to have 14 agents on a team and like, don't get me wrong, if any of them are listening, I'm sorry. But it was more of like, well, like these aren't good leads. And I'm like, well, how about you just work? And
Yeah.
they're like, I know, but like I want better ones. And I'm like, well, how about
Oh, my
like you
go-
just like we work?
Yeah.
Well, no, I want better ones. So I'm like, well, how about you get a referral?
Yeah.
Well, no, I want more leads from you. Can you buy more? That was the conversations. And now you're talking to like a Trevor
Yeah.
and he's in your crew and I'm like building his own business, high status. And so you
Yeah.
just feel like you're like, okay, this is the like,
People
this
wanna
is the
be-
team you want is
Yeah,
like
to be
people.
around. You don't want to be like always you can't be if you need to be around people that that you're striving to be like if
Yeah.
you're going to be better.
Yeah.
You can't always be the best because you're never going to get better.
But if your team is around, I feel like our crew is everyone that's always looking to be better, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you can't enjoy where you're at, but like we sit down and talk about that sometimes because I'm like, okay, let's just like woosah, like look
Yeah.
how far we've come. But like we're go getters, right? Like we don't
That's the problem. Yeah.
There's no mediocre stuff going on here. It's
No.
so hard to not curse today.
Well, you
but
don't have to not.
I know,
didn't say
I know.
You couldn't.
We're not. This isn't paid advertising.
Yeah, I said
know,
you're
you're
gonna
right, you're right.
demonetize this, and I don't. It's not
I made it this far.
It's not monetized, therefore it can't get demonetized, can it?
True story.
Yeah. No.
But the point is, I feel like-
happy with where we're at.
Agree, but there's
which
still something-
Sometimes we don't do that. Do you do that? Are you good at that?
At what?
Sitting back and just being like, I'm really proud of where I'm at, and just kind of like relishing in it, or your brain's always on the next thing.
At 41 now, I'm trying to like what book was it where it was talking about the gap and the gain, and it said like as producers produce, they're usually always looking at like the gap, like they're always looking at like where they're not, and it's usually why that person's where they are is because they're always looking at where they're not.
Not, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just always focused on the next project. And in that book, it said you do need to spend some time every once in a while, not too much, or then you just sit there and just you're your own hype man. That's not cool.
Yeah.
But like you do need to sit there and like actually acknowledge like how many things you've accomplished. So when I read that book, I sat on my back patio and I did just that. I'm like, I would have never at 18 years old
Believed.
thought that like, so I was just, that's where I started looking at the gain and not the gap. The first time I actually sat down for 1 hour and started writing down some things that I'm like, wow, I'd have never thought at 18 that I'd do this or have that or this.
Yeah.
And then you just sat there and like an hour of just like, wow, this is cool. Like thankful, grateful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
get out of that hour.
Get back- yeah.
And I walk back in the house. I'm like, it's all falling apart. We've got nowhere. So like that's the hardest thing anymore is like how do you be I say often, God, I'm so grateful for what I have.
Yeah. You have.
But
to
like
know.
I'm hungry for more.
Yeah.
If
I think it
if
can
I
be
can
both.
handle if I can handle it, I'm hungry for more. And so I'm like trying to always be daily like super grateful.
Yeah.
But like really hungry.
Yeah.
And that's
It's a weird dance.
yeah, because I'm like, if you just sit there and you're grateful all day, which I am, but like it just keeps you in the past where you're looking back and then you're just like, you don't accomplish much more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, grateful and hungry is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And just kind of like appreciate where you've got, be
Yeah.
thankful for what you have, but also
They
I'm
keep
like,
working.
but like, I want some more.
Yeah.
Yeah, more-
What are you guys looking forward to as we're wrapping up? Like, we're going into, obviously, we're in the new year. I can't believe it's almost like January's almost gone.
I know.
Like,
Saying that.
like that, me and Britt were driving yesterday. I'm like, I was just making goals
Yeah, and it's
about the
already
new year, and I'm like,
It's almost
1 month, like one round's already down out of 12. I was like, there we go. Now I'm all of a sudden in the gap again. I'm like, we gotta go faster.
Yeah.
I was like, 1 month's already gone. We only have 11 more rounds, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there in the car with anxiety. And Brett's like, can we just like get
Calm
to
down.
dinner? like she's going chill
She
mode.
balances you.
Yeah, the evening's ending, and I'm like riling up right before bed.
Yeah.
And then wonder why I can't sleep and get up at 3:30.
Yeah.
So,
Ready to go.
what are you guys looking forward to in 2025?
I feel like we have. I don't know. We didn't sit down this year and really do like a whole, right, goal planning thing.
I mean, I think we're pretty well oiled, but I think what we're looking forward to, I'd say this is our first year where when we're sitting down, when we do sit down, we see that there's
a pipeline.
I mean, a huge pipeline this year of like coming in business that we didn't even work for yet. So like to have that, I think it's the first year I could say that, right?
Yeah.
We didn't go into, I remember last year going into it and we weren't buying leads then or anything.
It was
and going in
January,
and
I'm
being
like,
like,
where-
what the
what?
hell are we doing?
Yeah, what's happening next month? What money is coming in? Like what? No control and like no not prospecting, but like we didn't have anything in the pipeline, right?
Yeah, so I think between our lead gen, but then also just that residual, like we can already count 5 buy sells we have this year from past clients, and like just to kind of have that ease of mind gives us even more. Gives at least me more drive to slay
Yeah.
our leads every day, all day. I don't know. Yeah, so I think this is going to be our best year yet for sure. I just know that in my gut, so I think I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And
So
playing a little bit too.
If we had a guess, audience, which one has a podcast, who would we guess has the podcast?
Shout it out.
What's the podcast?
My podcast with Angela Gordon, she is a fellow agent and on this team as well, is Real Talk Dating Exposed. It's the good, the bad, the ugly of dating in your 40s. And it doesn't mean we can't be in relationships or dating, but there's so much that goes into, I mean, real talk is that I've just had a shit show of a dating life. There's my curse of the day. And I was like, I did not go through all of this.
I think that's like your 9th, so it's
Yeah.
You're right. But either way, I was like, I did not go through all this and to be 42. And I feel like I have a good head on my shoulders and all the things to like not share it with humanity and like the lessons I've learned and like what we see out there in this day and age, because it is wild.
disaster.
It's a freaking wild ride.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's our passion project, but
I
it's
couldn't
great.
even imagine. I mean, and Brittany have known each other for 20 years.
Yeah, that's like her.
So
and
like
Josh, though.
we actually talk about that often because we have friends that are like in the dating scene, and like we hear the stories, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, this
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
interesting world. Like you just don't meet somebody through like a friend or like
No,
a
it's
social
definitely
event.
different. It's definitely a different.
So that's what you guys talk about on the podcast.
So we talk about everything from like dating apps to like dating stories to how to manage a breakup after a breakup or what to expect, like catfishing. I mean, there's so much there. I think we just filmed our 34th episode. I mean, literally, you can go there to laugh, to cry, for knowledge, for information. I mean, we pretty much spew it all. This year's heavy on the guests. So
What-
we have some triggering guests. Actually, my ex-husband's coming on with his wife
Yeah.
at the end of this month.
No way.
Yeah, because they
Have an open.
they bring women into their relationship. So we wanted people to come on that did
my.
that successfully. But the irony is it's my ex-husband and his wife. So it's like, can you make this shit up?
No.
But
It's
it's here
epic.
for it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
epic.
it's
So
pretty epic.
we're heavy on guests this year. We did enough talking last year. Now I'm like, let's bring on people that can spew the knowledge.
How can people follow you?
Property Twins AZ is our handle
Okay.
on Instagram, and then we're all over. We're on that. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. Property Twins AZ is our thing.
Because there are other property twins, if you didn't know.
Okay. Well, this was the one of the most energetic podcasts we had.
Shelly.
Right? Is the Shelly brings the energy?
I bring the energy.
Cool.
Super.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thanks so
I'm
much.
glad.
so
Like
much for
my
having
goal.
us.
Yeah, my goal is that when people listen to this, that they just like connect. You know I bring on people from different backgrounds. You know, they do different style of businesses, and all I want is someone driving down the road, at the gym, listening, just to say like I feel like I can do it now.
For sure.
Because like I connect with whatever their story was. So I appreciate you guys sharing it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Cool.